Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're going to use the Beechcraft Baron G58 and I will show you how to set up the flight plan manually in this airplane. In the next video we're going to really fly the flight which we programmed in our aircraft. So the plan is to fly from Dubai International to another airport within the region, and that's the Maktoum International Airport. During this flight we will visit some points of interest, right? So you can recognize them on the star points. So we're gonna fly to the Maidan Grandstand, then close to the Burj Al Arab, and then to the Dubai skydive, the Princess Tower, and then we make a turn to the Al Maktoum International. So if you would zoom in a bit, it's pretty hard to see. I think, yeah, it's almost, you can't see it on this map correctly, but in the map in the aircraft you can see it. That here are the two palm trees, which are, let's say, parts of the country extended into the sea, right? So that's pretty nice to see. So let's first get some facts, right? We want to go to the Al Maktoum International, and we want to use the ILS approach once we're gonna do the real flight. So before that we need to find out what the navigation frequency is for the ILS. By default that's not displayed, so you need to go to Open Filters, scroll down to the bottom, and then make sure that at least the nav aids and the fixed air nav and position report are on. But I prefer to switch on all the options. My observations are that sometimes these settings are reset back to the default, which is sometimes frustrating. So make sure that if you don't see them, that you go to this option and switch them on again. So this runway 12, which we want to use to make the landing on. So what you need to do if you want to make an ILS approach is you need to go to the end of the runway, and in this case you can see a 4 with DME functionality, the India Juliet Echo Alpha, and you can press on it. And then you can see, hey, this is a localizer DME, and the localizer DME can be used by the ILS functionality of the aircraft to, I would say, ensure that the glide scope is correct and make a nice landing. So we will note down the frequency. So we'll pick my pen and I will make a note of that because we need to program that manually in our navigation system. And we change the position of our aircraft to be the fuel depot, which is somewhere in this list. Where is it? You can see there are a lot of ramps where you can park. So where is it? Let's scroll very slowly. You can see a lot of gates there, both for the medium and for large airplanes. And you can see the fuel box here. And then we will hit the fly button and this will start loading the game, right? So what's the funny thing about the fuel box is that it will directly show you the option to, I would say, refuel the airplane, or to put some more kerosene in the airplane. And by that you can receive an additional recognition, right? So you know the additional rewards which you can get by, for example, flying 50 hours or making a safe landing on one specific airport. That's what we're going to use to also collect the rewards to use the fuel box. So we skip the loading part because the loading part, I would say, takes pretty much time. And you can see our aircraft is positioned at the airport. Currently the engine is still switched off. So we need to press the ready to fly button to, I would say, go into the aircraft. So let's do that. And this is the box I meant, right? So you can change the options here. For example, and then we will put more fuel or kerosene in the airplane. It shows you the weight and also the consumption and CO2 emission. Once that's done, you can simply close it and you're done, and we can switch on the aircraft. To do that, we need to go to this part first. So we need to switch on the batteries.
Okay.
Here's some nice lady talking to you that you did something correctly. We're gonna switch on the navigation system. We're gonna switch on the fuel pumps. Then another thing which you need to keep in mind with this aircraft is that you need to increase to full power if you want to start the engines, and you need to set both of these mixtures to full, because else the engines won't start. So then we can go back to the left side, and here you see two buttons. One is for the right engine, one is for the left engine. So press the magneto and then we press start. And if you did everything correctly, the engine will start. So if you forgot something, which is I think in our case the scenario, then we need to review all the settings. And if that happens, believe me, that sometimes happens because there are so many buttons in these airplanes, you can use the checklist, right? So you can use the checklist from before and after. So we're gonna switch or check all the stuff which is here. So we switch those on, and then let's look at this. And here you see the problem. In this case, we didn't switch on the fuel selectors, which means that the engines won't get any fuel. So that won't work. So we go again to the engine and then press the button again. As you can hear, the engine starts. We will do the same thing here. And then we can switch back to the main screen. As you can see both engines are running, oil pressure is kind of okay, it's building up, and once that's done we can decrease the throttling. And another thing which you can do is you can switch off the fuel boost pumps. So now the aircraft has been started. You can do two things. You can leave it like this and you can use the FPL button here, which stands for flight plan, as you can see, or you can switch on the right screen. And to switch on the right screen you need to switch on the avionic masters. So let's do that. Let me hide this window and then press the soft key. For those who've watched the Cessna how-to, those will recognize these two systems, right? Because they're identical. There are more airplanes in Flight Simulator which have these interface. So if you already are familiar with that, then it's good. So let's switch on the engine a bit lower to 1000 RPM, and let's start planning our flight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna press the FPL button, and then we're gonna add OMDB as the starting point. That's always what you need to do, right? You can press this button, the FMS button, which exists out of 3 parts, which is the button to press, then the first button to rotate, and the one close to the dashboard also to rotate. So let's push the button and then let's search for OMDB. So we use the one close to the dashboard to go to the right. OMD, and then the letter B from Bravo, and you can see it is being recognized as Dubai International, and we press enter. So now we need to find the next waypoint which we're going to visit, and you can do that either by opening the VFR map, which is luckily fixed by installing the latest update for Flight Simulator, or you can use this map. And to navigate in this map, you need to press the button, and then you will see the mouse cursor appearing here. Oh, let me zoom in a bit. It's here. And then you can use the buttons to navigate. So we're gonna navigate to here, and then we're gonna add Joomla to our list. So we're gonna press the button again. Uniform. Oh. Back to it. One position to the right. Joomla, and then hit enter. As you can see, Joomla has been found in multiple locations around the world. One which is more than 6,000 miles away, so that's probably not the one we should have. And OM stands for the country where we're in, so that's good because you can see that the airports also start with OM, which means that it belongs to the same country. And we press enter, and you can see directly the line is being drawn on the map. So let's navigate a bit further to see which could be our next waypoint. Gonna go a little bit more to the coast. And this is where you can see the palm tree, right? You can see it pretty clear on this navigation system. So we're gonna go to OMDU, which is the skydive facility. So we're gonna press the buttons again. So make sure that you're using the front part and not the part close to the dashboard. Oh. We need to select the correct letter, else we won't find it. So sometimes you need to zoom out a bit because that's easier to, let's say, use the buttons. So go back here first, change it to O. D. Well, too far. Dubai skydive, and we hit enter again. Then we're gonna use the range button again to move a little bit more down to the south to see if we can find another waypoint which we can use. Of course, you can also zoom in or zoom out. So we're gonna zoom out a bit, and then now we're zooming in. So let me see where. So we're gonna use this waypoint, right? You can see sometimes you can zoom in a bit, out a bit. It's better. And here you can see the second palm, and we're gonna use this waypoint, Juliet Alpha. And we hit enter again, and here you can see a long list of OMDB channels, but as mentioned already, we're in OM, so we need to select OM and then press enter. So now we did that. Here's the airport which we want to visit, so let me zoom in a bit. OMDW, so we're gonna edit. Pressing the buttons, so we're gonna scroll to the right. Oh, the W. Maktoum International, and we're gonna press enter. So once you're finished, you can press the button from the FMS and then you can see that the flight has been programmed. What are the other options which we have? Well, we can use the procedures button, and the procedures button allows you to, I would say, select an approach in the procedures so that we're setting up a correct flight pattern once we want to make the approach. So if we use that, we can say select approach. You can see the airport has already been selected as Maktoum. You can select the approach type, and if you would use the buttons here, you can select multiple ones, right? You can use the ILF or the AirNav approach. In this case, ILS 12 is fine for me, so press enter. And you can use the transition, and the transition means, okay, which transition are we gonna make? So which waypoints are we gonna visit before making the final approach? Those will also make sure that we are making the correct landing and we're correctly aligned to the runway. So what we can do is we can use this list, because this is the sequence of waypoints which we're going to visit, to make sure that we're taking the correct approach. So it says Nitri and DW661. I can see DW660 here. In most cases then the other one is pretty close, but not always. You can see DW663 here. So let's select the button again and then press Nitri. Well, Nitri is the only one. For some airports there are multiple ones, so I think in this case Nitri is the only option which we have, and we can press enter. And once that's done, you need to press the selection button again. Get used to it, because that's I would say normal. And then we're gonna press the load option. So keep in mind that if you did not depart yet, it will replace your entire flight. So in this case it will replace it will not replace in this case, because still the pink arrow is here, but in some cases it will remove the complete en route option and will directly go to the approach button. But in this case what we can do is we can use these waypoints, and once we're in the air, so let me press the flight plan option, you can, instead of going directly to the airport, OMDW, you can say, okay, hey, I want to go to Nitri, and then you're following the official approach. Right, so if we would zoom out a bit, let me do that. Then we're gonna fly over the water and then flying over the Palm Island, then hitting the Juliet Alpha beacon, and then we're gonna approach OMDW, which is fine for me. It's an option, it's really what you want. Both are the options. Either you can say, okay, I'm gonna make a straight in approach, or you can use the official route. What is the other option? The other option is to use the set direct route to. And the set direct route to allows you to define a direct route, for example from OMDB directly to OMDW. But in this case we're not going to do that, so I'm going to press the button again. I think we covered most of the buttons here, or most of the options here. The only option which we didn't cover yet is how you can remove these waypoints. And there are some options what you can do. As you can see, you can't do it from the procedures button, so what you need to do is you need to go to FMS and then use the clear option to clear the flight plan. Keep in mind that in this case it has cleared the entire flight plan. If you're still in the programming phase, then you can also clear individual waypoints. So what do we need to do? Well, first we need to reprogram the flight plan, but I will do that after this tutorial, before making the departure. The other part which we didn't discuss yet is that you need to change the navigation option, because we want to use the ILS approach. And to do that, we can do it either from the right side or the left side. You need to hit the stand to swap standby and active nav frequencies, and use the nav button to make the frequency change. So I made a note of it. It was 11175. So you can use the front knob to change the numbers behind the dot, and then use the large knob to make the change before the dot. Once that's done, press the button again, and you can see that it has activated the waypoint, because you can see the name here, which we already found on the map. Using this option and setting the CDI to 401 before, I would say as soon as we're pretty close to the airport, we'll make sure that we can use the ILS approach using the autopilot. Here ends this tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you like it, then consider to press the like button. If you've got any questions or comments, then use the options below the video. And if you would like to see more of these videos, then consider to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.